how are we gonna start this? Well, on today's unboxing video, take 2.
Action!
All right, well, that's a little too rough. Yeah. On today's unboxing video, what's wrong? On today's video, we will be having a unboxing / comparison between the GReddy FV2 blow-off valve versus the HKS Super SQV, or also known as the SSQV. All right, let's dive into this. We're gonna start with the GReddy blow-off valve. This is probably my current favorite one right now. Okay, so what do you get here? Well, the most important part is you get some GReddy vacuum hose. This is the worst vacuum hose on the market, but you know damn sure I'm using it because it's blue and it says GReddy on it. You get a gasket, some hardware, and some vacuum tees, so you can hopefully install this relatively easily in your car. What you don't get in here is a flange, so keep that in mind. We sell the flange on our website as well, but you do not get a flange, so you will need that in order to, or you'll need a pipe that comes with a flange so you can install this on your car. Let's see here. There she is. Oh, this is the brand new one, actually. Chris, do you have one of the older ones, or do I? I think I do have an older one. Stay posted. Let me find the older one. Oh, found it. Dun, 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 dun. We have this old and busted regular FV. This is the FV2. All right, so let's see what the differences are real quick with these. The main difference is the vacuum pressure spring adjustment knob. It used to be a lock nut with an Allen key bolt that goes up and down. Now it's a very easily adjustable knob. And this is how you make the spring pressure harder and softer, or you're basically adding preload to it. So that's the main difference, and then everything else is pretty much just looks. This is obviously used and old, but it was darker than this. This is more like a chrome finish. Still blue and silver, so that's cool. Logos are the same. But yeah, that adjustment is a lot easier. So if you need to adjust that on the fly, I don't know why you ever would, because that would be kind of weird. But the flange is the same too. There actually is another difference too that I see here. So these blow-off valves come with a pretty awesome feature where you can rotate the top of this, so you can rotate where the vacuum line is. So let's say you put the flange on this way and you didn't realize that your vacuum line was going to be sticking straight up and hitting the hood. Now you can just loosen these bolts, rotate this in a way where this will be facing down or wherever you need it. So it'll look a little bit better and function more properly for your setup. Now, the problem with that is, as you can see, you can only move this a certain amount. You know, there's a couple variations that won't work just because of where the bolts are. It looks like on the new design, they made it a little better because you can just loosen these clamps and rotate this whole thing around 360 degrees from what it looks like. I hope I'm right because we haven't done this yet, but that looks exactly like what it's designed to do. What else? Oh, this is a push type blow-off valve, so the pressure is contacting this valve directly from your charge pipe and helping it evacuate by pressing up. So that's a push type. That'll be relevant in a minute when we go to the next one. But yeah, this is my favorite blow-off valve. It's simple. You can adjust the spring preload, that's what I'm gonna call it at least, on the fly. So this is pretty nice. I'll probably end up using this on my car and not the old and busted one. Still works, but it's just not that great. Also, I'm a big fan of the GReddy flange. It's just a 2-bolt flange with a gasket. I like it more in comparison to the HKS. Something else I wanted to mention before we get onto the HKS one is that these I don't even know what you would call this. This is pretty much an ornament. I don't think this makes any sort of noise. But you can pretty much take this off and it's threaded. I don't know if GReddy makes a recirculation setup for this, but if they do, it would be threaded in right there. And then you can run a hose back to your intake and have a recirculation setup instead of a vent to atmosphere, which is what both of these are mainly designed for, is vent to atmosphere. Now the HKS. This is a very popular blow-off valve in the industry, and I guess the car community in general. I mean, I've even seen German cars with these on them, so this is definitely a popular one. A little bit more secure with the wrapping, you know? This is kind of just like completely open. There's really no wrapping on this. This is how they come. This one is a little bit more secure, so that's nice. I mean, for example, you know, you order this from us, I might have been in here, I might have done an unboxing with it. This one, you'll know if I did the unboxing with it because it's supposed to have this on it. You know what's also cool about this? So the thing about the HKS SSQV is there are a lot of replicas with this one. So they even have a serial number down here, like a cutout for it. They take this blow-off valve very seriously because there's so many fakes out there. I'm not going to go into any of the details on how to tell one apart from the other one because I don't remember any of them, but there's plenty of information online. So far, this is already better than the GReddy one in terms of what you get because you're getting some type of instructions. So that's good. The problem is they're all in Japanese. No, they're not. I lied. The back is English. All right, let's take a quick look at this. Okay. All right, so it shows you how the flange works. So that's good. Shows you how to run the vacuum line, tells you to use a zip tie. These are in Japanese. There might be an English section in here. Let's see. Ooh. Damn, all English. Wow. So yeah, it tells you how to set it up, how to install it. Tells you how to run the vacuum line, use a zip tie to secure it. Tells you where to run the line. Shows you the optional fitting they have for recirc. And that's pretty much it. So this is, I mean, that's pretty nice. I'm a fan of that because some people will get this that don't know what they're doing and they might hook up their whole blow-off valve and it doesn't even open. Actually, it probably would open, probably wouldn't stay shut. Okay, so then we have a separate box that has the blow-off valve in it. And this is serialized, so it's got the number right there. And then we got the little install kit. Kind of the same stuff as the GReddy one. It's got, except there's no hardware, there's just a C-clip, so you'll see where that comes into play. And we got zip ties, which is nice. We also got T-fittings, just like the GReddy one. All right, let's open this thing up. So they wrap this in, what would you call this? Styrofoam paper? That sounds legit. That's styrofoam paper they wrap that with. There she is in all her glory. And they even got a vacuum cap. How nice is that? Make sure nothing gets in there. We'll say one thing, this is definitely nice. Wow. There's your serial number. If we're talking about presentation, this is nice. I feel like I just bought some really nice jewelry or something. I got a nice watch right now. Like that's how I feel when I open this up. This, I feel like I bought this at, I don't even know where. Amazon? No. No, it's not. I mean, this is nice, but this is like, they're trying to make you feel like something with this one. So I do appreciate that. And it is a nice looking piece. As far as like how to tell this apart from a fake, I'm not sure. I mean, the first thing I would look at would be the trademark or the registered symbol underneath the HKS logo. Because I'm pretty sure the fake ones don't have that. Let me take a look at this thing. So this is a pull type blow-off valve, and it might be one of the very few that well, it is, I think it's the only one I know of that's a pull type. I did a bunch of research on this beforehand just to make sure I knew exactly what the differences were between these, because as you'll see in our next video we're gonna make, which might be out already depending on when you're watching this, we don't use blow-off valves too often, so I had to do some research. But this is a pull type. So what does that mean? That means the boost coming in here is not pushing the valve open. The vacuum is what's pulling the valve open when you're off throttle. So that's the main difference between these two. It's very similar design, but it's just the way the valve is sitting inside the blow-off valve. And we'll get more into that in our next video. We'll explain it a little bit in more detail. But this is a very popular blow-off valve. It's got a very familiar noise. This is more like, to me, this is more like just air whooshing out noise. This has this piece here, and this usually creates more of a high-pitched noise when the air comes out. But I think they also sell multiple variations of these to change the noise slightly when it comes out. So another thing to think about, because I don't think GReddy does that. Oh, I did want to talk about this. So the flange types on these. The flange type on this one is basically a circle with an O-ring. There's an O-ring in here. Circle with an O-ring, and then you put this in it, and then you use the C-clamp to hold it in place. I hate this style. This is 2 bolts and a gasket, which are included. So, I mean, you could have an argument for either one, I guess, but to me, this is a pain in the ass to install too. And what most people don't know is you can just pop this cover off. So I think half of these bolts are real, usually. You just pop this off, and then you have a nice area to use pliers to put this in. Because if you try to put it in like this, you're gonna end up scratching the side of this thing. So you really want to disassemble this when you go to install it. It's still a pain to install though. There's that O-ring is big, and it takes a lot of pressure to push it down and get it in place. But I mean, you don't need to get rid of a gasket every time. I guess that's good. But you also have an O-ring that's probably going to be flat when you take it out. So I don't know. If you remove this one too often, you could just use RTV if you had to. This would be a mess if you used RTV. I would not do that. It's very hard to clean that flange. So, and I guess another thing to mention since we drift, this one is super annoying when you're drifting because you're on and off throttle all the time. And this whistle noise gets tiring, especially if you're watching your car in videos. This is more like just an air being released noise, so it's a little bit less, you know, it's still there, but this is very loud and obnoxious when you're drifting, depending on how you drive. But most 4-cylinder drivers are on and off the throttle pretty often. So ask me how I know. There's a video of my car somewhere where, and it's really bad. So that's how I know. That's pretty much all we're going to get into today. I have a lot of other things I could say about these, but we're kind of trying to keep that for another video. We're trying to make a long video for you guys where we go into these 2 blow-off valves, how they work, why you would need one, do you need one for drifting, and all those questions. We got a couple comments asking about blow-off valves, so we want to kind of dive into them and explain why we use them or why we don't use them and what features different ones have. Probably going to add a couple more to this table too when we dive into that. But these are the 2 popular ones. These are the ones we have on our website, both made by Japanese brands. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. If, you know, presentation, HKS is the winner. This is a really nice piece. I feel like I bought a piece of art with this one. GReddy, I believe this is cheaper for one, so there's that. And for me, I like this one more. It's simple, you know. It's not a big deal. It sounds a little bit more mature than this, but depends on your application. All right, guys, like, share, subscribe, and make sure to tune in for our next video. It should be the blow-off valve one, but maybe we'll put another one in between those. So, all right, have a good one.